Now to Myanmar, where the military junta has levelled fresh charges against deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi, accusing her of accepting illegal payments worth $600,000 and gold while in power. So far, they've produced no evidence to back up the charges. Meanwhile, at least 6 people have been killed in Myanmar on Thursday after security forces fired on them during demonstrations. They were in the town of Myang, taking part in protests against last month's military coup, which overthrew Aung San Suu Kyi's government. There are also reports that at least one other person has been killed in the country's largest city, Yangon. This latest violence comes after the UN Security Council demanded the military restore democratic control.
It is absolutely essential to respect the result of the elections and to allow for a situation in which we move back to a democratic transition.
Let's get more from journalist Andrew Nackhamson, who joins us from Yangon. Welcome, Andrew. Let's start with those deaths in Myanmar, in Myang and Yangon that followed just hours after Antonio Guterres made that speech.
Yeah, well, so we've heard that there have been protests in Myang plenty of times since the coup. This is the first time that we know of that they've opened fire with deadly force. There's obviously been other deaths in Yangon before, but it all feels kind of random, like the junta just on some days tells security forces that they can go out and kill people, and I guess the intention is to give all protesters the impression that any day they go out, they could be killed.
And the military says it only uses force where necessary. And as far as we can see, watching the TV clips, the protesters are peaceful. So what's your assessment?
Yeah, I think that's just flatly not true. Like you said, the overwhelming majority of the protesters have been totally peaceful, unarmed. We've seen, teenagers, young women shot in the head. It really doesn't reflect what the Tatmadaw is saying about only using force when necessary. They seem to use force totally indiscriminately.
Aung San Suu Kyi, now the country's former civilian leader, she's facing new allegations that seem much more significant than the 2 charges she faced before.
Yeah, these are the big charges. She had been charged for some kind of silly things before, violating COVID-19 restrictions, illegally importing walkie-talkies. I think these were kind of placeholder charges while they tried to dig up something a little more serious. Corruption charges have seen people sentenced to prison for as long as 30 years. So I think these are the charges that they're really hoping are going to permanently sideline Aung San Suu Kyi from politics.
Right, and what are they saying that she has done?
Well, like you said, they haven't offered us a ton of details. They said she accepted illegal payments, $600,000 in cash and gold. They said the information came from the NLD's chief minister in Yangon, but all we have so far is the military's word.
Meanwhile, the shooting continues and the protesting continues, and no one seems to be giving way.
Yeah, I mean, the Tatmadaw seems to really be digging their heels in. They haven't responded very well to any suggestions for diplomacy or dialogue. And I think the NLD side kind of feels like they shouldn't have to negotiate or make any concessions because they won an election in an overwhelming landslide. So under what normal circumstances would the winning party have to make any concessions? So both sides seem quite far apart.
Right. Thanks for joining us, Andrew Nackhamson in Yangon.